What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about ZEBEC today, ZBCN. It is the 30th day of November, and here we are sitting at about $0.003 with 8 hours and 13 minutes left in the day. Consolidating here, looking like you do have this inverse head and shoulders kind of formation going on. It would be kind of weird because your high here is that much lower than this high here. Maybe it is slanted. Maybe we do see somewhat of a lower low here. It could be a slanted inverse head and shoulders, something like that could be forming. But nonetheless, I don't mind this consolidation that we're seeing right here, pulling back a little bit. If we look at this from a relative low to a relative high, you're right above the 382. Typically, you would expect to find support at the 382 and then continue to build. But if we do break below the 382, we would likely find support at 00279 to 00253, somewhere in this area here. That's where we would find support if we go lower. If we close a day below 0.00296, then we're probably going lower. Okay, let's look at the 1 hour time frame. We'll zoom out from there. Looking at the 1 hour here, things have been pretty neutral, but to the downside, right? Very, very consistent behavior to the downside here. I want to look at this with volume. You're getting some buys coming in here. Not a whole lot of volume on the way down, which is nice. The RSI is a bit neutral, but bearishly implied. You're at a point to reject, so I would think we go lower. Same thing with the stochastic, same thing with the MACD. I would think that we go lower from here. Looking at the 4 hour time frame, 12 minutes left. I mean, it's nice. Really the only thing that makes me hesitant to expect lower prices is the fact that you're holding the 382 here. But you have rejected the 236 already. Typically, you would bounce by now. I think at this point, it's very likely that we do go down to the 0.5 or somewhere down here. Okay, something at about 0.00278 to 0.00251, somewhere in that area. That's probably where we're going to go. But I could be wrong. If we hold this 382, all we got to do is close a 4 hour time frame above the 236. We close above 0032, not wick, but close above 0032, and then this is the low, or whatever low is the low. Maybe we see a slightly lower low, and then that's the low there. If we can close above the 236, I'd be that much more convinced that the low is in. Until then, I keep the bearish posturing. I would have been bullish here. If I made a video here, I would have been bullish, and then if we were over here making the video right now, like we are now, I would flip bearish because we should have popped already. We should have moved up already. Maybe it's a little bit of a delayed reaction. Maybe we're getting that here. I hope this video ages like sour milk. But I would think we've already made the move up. I do believe that we're going to move down. I hope by the time you guys are watching this, we're just blasting through the roof. And maybe we are. Maybe it's a bit of a delayed reaction. So just keep your mind open. If I haven't made a video by this point tomorrow, and we have closed a 4 hour candle above 0032, just understand, in our sleep, we become bullish at 0032 once the 4 hour closes above there. We're only bearish as long as we are below here. We can wick above there, and we're not bullish. We're only bullish once we get a close above there, okay? 4 hour time frame, looking at this, the MACD does have bullish divergence. Hey, look at that. Hey, that's actually not bad bullish divergence there, to be completely fair. The stochastics also have some bullish divergence. Wow. The RSI is actually not that bad looking. Maybe I should have looked at the indicators before I did that, before I made that claim. I don't know. The indicators kind of make me think we want to move up. I'm not going to lie. The RSI is a little bit weird, but the stochastics and the MACD are oversold. They've already kind of reset. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we do pump from here. I don't know. Let's keep going. But at this point in time, I'm going to just say, as of C-Zar, who C-Zar was about 3 minutes ago, is a little bit less convinced that we're going to go down now. Okay, C-Zar now is a little bit more convinced that this could be a low point. Maybe we are having a low start. I don't know. I'm pretty 50-50 at this point. The indicators look good. The price action has me concerned. So we'll stick with it. If we close above 0032, good. We're moving higher. If we close below 00296, bad. We're moving lower to 00278 or 00251, somewhere in that area, okay? But the 4 hour time frame looks nice. The 1 hour is at points to reject, and maybe we do come down. Maybe by the time you watch this video, we are lower. But that this doesn't necessarily mean that we have to go lower. It just means lower from here, and maybe we do, and then we come up. You know, maybe we spend the next 2 hours going down like this, and we spend the next few hours going up like this. I don't know. Daily time frame. The RSI is choppy, and I would say bearish too. Choppy and bearish. You've got this hidden bearish divergence, and you're getting this reaction. I don't know. Maybe we do find support here, man. If we go lower, I have a lot of faith that we will find support somewhere around this low. Okay, which again, from a low point here to a high point here, that is right there around our 0.5 or just above the golden ratio. So at its worst, we're not going to drop too much. Okay. Stochastics rejecting the overbought zone makes me think that we'd come lower, and the MACD as well. I'm going to stick with it at the risk of being wrong, and I really could set myself up for being wrong here. From a low to a high, let's call for 00278 to 0025, maybe with a heavy emphasis on 00261 as support, the golden ratio. And if I'm wrong, just close above 0032. We become increasingly bullish once that happens. And once you do find your low, once you are moving higher, the expectation there is that we will see something up at the golden ratio or the 786, 886 area. The fact that we've interacted with the 0.5 already like this, found resistance, you know, maybe we pull back. Look at the 236 is right there. That low is right there. From a low to a high, from a low here to a high here, our 0.5 is right there. There's a lot of significance, and you got a prior low back here. There's a lot of significance of that 00274, 00278 kind of area. Regardless of what happens, there's two kind of zones that we should focus on. From here, whether we move down first, whether we move sideways, whether we move up, all paths are going to take us higher. All of them will take us higher. And the next destination is either this zone or this zone. Typically, statistically speaking, on your first interaction with the golden ratio, you do not pass. You will find resistance. There are times when you do pass the golden ratio on the first attempt and you do hit this area, but again, that's statistically improbable, or it's less likely. I shouldn't say improbable. It's just less likely, right? There is a good probability. There's a solid chance, but less likely still. The likelihood that you do break through the golden ratio and go to this less likely zone, the likelihood goes up a little bit if you interact with the 0.5 before you consolidate. So there is a chance where we do push all the way up to 0048 to 0054. But that's at the most, whereas here would be at the least. We likely do not stop in this in-between zone here. With this is no man's land. We likely do not stop here. At best, maybe we wick a little bit through the 6.9 and we stop there, you know, like a little bit like that. Maybe we fall just shy of the 786. Okay, technically we stop in that land, but typically you'd either stop in this range here or this range here, not in between. So 004 to 0044 at a minimum, 0048 to 0054 at a maximum. Okay. 0048, 0054 at a maximum, 004 to 0044 at a minimum. Something higher, which in percentage terms is anything from a 34% at a minimum to about a 77% gain at a maximum. Okay. And likely from there, depending on what we do, can establish our next consolidation phase as well. If we go up to the golden ratio and we find resistance, we can pull back to this zone, the exact like same zone that we just found resistance before, but find support, and then we move up, and then we move down, and then we move up, and then we're looking for new all-time highs. Or we can expedite this process a little bit. You know, the way that I have it drawn here, it'd be like mid-January, late January that we start to see new all-time highs, and that might be exactly what we see. Or if we move up here to the 786, 886 area, we'll probably find support down here at the golden ratio and then continue to move up. And perhaps, I don't want to get you too excited, but if this is the scenario that we see, perhaps we could see new all-time highs by the end of this year for ZEBEC. And that would be very exciting. If this is an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and we assume that it's slanted, the break might be somewhere like over here if it's slanted. I mean, that breakout move technically the measure move would take us all the way up here. I don't think it's an inverse head and shoulders. It looks sloppy. It's got that look to it, but it's a little bit too far slanted. Typically, if it's an inverse head and shoulders pattern, let me just draw an example here. If we have a standard inverse head and shoulders, it looks like this, right? Like you've got this, kind of looks like that, right? If it's slanted, it's the same, but now it's like down here, right? But typically your lows and your highs, they're parallel with each other still. They're like here, your lows and your highs, they're parallel. Same thing here whenever they're slanted, okay? If that was the case here, if you were to be parallel with your lows and your highs, let's just go back and see here. I mean, your low would be so low. You know what I mean? You'd be, and that's okay. You can go lower. Maybe we do go below the 236, but you're low, like where it would be all the way down here. That's not a, you know, that's just so, that's too slanted. You're too close to the head, and the head's too pointy. I don't know. The volume's all wrong. Maybe it's not an inverse head and shoulders, but nonetheless, I do expect that we do move higher, right? And again, it makes sense that it's not an inverse head and shoulders because the measure move itself would take us all the way up to this point, and it just doesn't make sense that from here we would run all the way up here. It can happen. We could go past it. You never know. But statistically speaking, we're most likely going to stop at 004, 0044, or 0048, 0054, somewhere in that range. My money at the moment is on the 786, 886 area, personally. That's where I think we're going to go. But time will tell. I'll see you guys on the next one. And by the way, my money's on this area. I don't care if we move up right now. I don't care if we move sideways for another week. I don't care if we move down first. No matter what the outcome is, this is my expected outcome regardless. I doubt we go below this 236, or if we do, we don't go too much below it. This is probably exactly where we would find support. My call at the moment is we will push lower before going higher. But whether we move sideways, whether we move up first, regardless, all pointing to the same area, at least the golden ratio. Okay. Take care. It's kind of like a face, right? Kind of like a face. Can we do this? Is this, hold on. Kind of like that. Now it looks like a head, right? Looks like a head. Here's his ears. They're like the like inverse horns. You got the eyes and the face there, and even a tongue. Even this little like tongue right here, right? You can see it, like a little tongue. Anyways, we'll give him a nose, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.